Right guys, welcome back to the channel. And the reason I'm doing this video is purely because I have had enough. I've had enough of people messaging me. I've had enough of garages making fatal mistakes, which is costing people a lot of money, especially on their transmission, because they are making this mistake all the time and they're making it a problem for the customer. And then you've got people who are watching videos, not taking note of what they need, thinking they can just use anything because there's a lot of idiots out there who make people believe they can use whatever they want in their transmission. So I'm here to tell you the correct procedure for your transmission and what you should be doing with your transmission and not listening to all these other people. Not talking anymore, let's get onto this video. Right guys, so as you can see here, this is a BMW N52 engine. Now this engine is mated with the ZF 6HP 19 gearbox. Now, I'm telling you right now, a lot of people are under all these different beliefs that you don't have to change the transmission fluid at all. You change it at 100,000. And some people with common sense know to change these at between 50 to 60,000 miles, the fluid on the transmission. But then you get garages who have no clue about these transmissions. And I'm about to tell you exactly why I'm angry and why I'm doing this video and why I'm making awareness about this problem. Now, I actually had an F30 330D come into me last month where it was a family friend's car where their gearbox was serviced by a garage and it started having problems. Now, when I first found out about it, I said to them, was it driving fine before that or did you take it because it had problems? And they said, no, it was fine. It was because they just wanted to service because it was due. Now, they didn't even know about cars, but they had common sense. They took it to the garage. It started having problems after it was serviced. I told them, do not drive it. Get it towed to me so I can look at it. I looked at everything. It had no codes for the gearbox, nothing. I then drained the fluid only to find this fluid inside the transmission. This fluid right here. Now, many of you probably already know what that is. To others, you won't. This is, as it says on it, gear oil, fully synthetic gear oil. So to the naked eye, to everyone else, they just think, okay, gear oil, no problem with that. What's wrong with that? The problem with that is this diff fluid. The diff has gears. You know, you use that in hall deck systems, you use that in diffs. You don't use that in gearboxes. But unfortunately, when I spoke to this garage, they said it wasn't their fault. They blamed the mechanic because he should have been aware of this, but he doesn't usually work on BMWs. But also the company that they use for their parts sent this to them. And why is that? Because they don't have BMW approved fluids for transmissions on the shelf. Because everywhere in the UK, like many places in the US, believe that the transmissions don't need servicing. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that do use this in their transmissions and then the transmissions go bang. I can tell you right now, there's people with Dodges and Chevys that put this in their cars because they have no clue. They just see gear oil. They go into an automotive shop. They'll sell them this because it's what they've got. And they tell them it's going to be fine. No problem. Just use it for now. It'll be fine just to top up your transmission. Oh, if you're getting rid of the car anyway, it doesn't matter. Just use this. No, you don't use that at all. This is way too thick. Not even for a top up. This will thicken the other fluid that's inside it and this will kill your transmission because this will do nothing for it. This will not lubricate. It won't lubricate the clutch packs, your solenoids, your mechatronics, nothing. This was a big mistake for the garage putting it in that F30. When I drained it, the oil was so thick, luckily I didn't drive it, that I knew straight away it was this fluid because gearbox fluid should not be that thick. And that was the oil where even when I smelt it, it was this 75 W90, or it could have been 80 W90, whatever. It was diff oil and it should not have been in there. All was fine though. They gave money back to my friend for the service charge, or what they charged for the service and the parts. Fair enough. I did it for them for free because I already had the fluid here. For that gearbox, it was an 8-speed gearbox. Not a problem. But this is not the correct fluid for BMW's transmissions at all. You shouldn't be using this in any transmission. And it makes me so angry that someone actually put that in a car. Because I know out there's going to be garages and people who think this is okay to use in cars with automatic transmission. It is not. It is simply not. Do not use diff fluid in your transmission. Now, the next one is this. Now again, many of you will know what transmission fluid that is. This is Dexron. For the GM transmissions, Now GM is in a lot of cars, Chevys, Dodges, BMW even, but people seem to be under the belief that they can just throw that in a ZF gearbox. No, you cannot. You cannot use Dexron fluid in a ZF gearbox. Do not do it. Using the wrong fluid will kill your transmission and vice versa. You cannot use ZF fluid in a GM transmission. Many people go and do that because a lot of people just walk into a shop, buy whatever's on the shelf. A lot of places do not stock transmission fluid for BMWs purely because everyone's under the belief they're not meant to be serviced. That's why they will tell you it's an online thing only. Sorry, it's an online thing only. No, we don't stock that. We've never heard of the transmissions being serviced before. Oh no, I wouldn't take that risk. Oh no, oh, don't touch transmission. Have you heard of all the issues they have? That's the kind of crap that you will get when you go to places and say to them, you want to service your transmission. They're like, oh. It's like you've just made them fall off their chair because they're in shock. You can't even use them words in shops. Anywhere you go, looking for the part because they're like, oh no, I wouldn't touch one of them. I wouldn't trust that. That's the first thing they'll tell you when they're absolutely wrong. Your transmission must be serviced with the correct fluid and filter. This is the correct one for GM transmissions only. But people will use this in ZF, and I've seen it. I've seen people even on YouTube using this. Do not use this fluid. Plain and simple. Do not touch that fluid for a ZF transmission. I'm going to show you the right fluid you need for ZF transmissions, 5 HP and 6 HP 19. This fluid right here, this is a male ATF free. This one is for your ZF 5 HP 19s. Well, how do I know that, you ask? E46, E39, E53 all use that transmission, ZF 5 HP 19. Now, so did my Porsche Boxster. It had a ZF 5 HP 19 bolted to the engine, and so do the Caymans. That's how I've got that fluid, because I've done my transmission fluid on mine. You cannot use that in a ZF 6 HP 19 and going forward, or even the 8-speed, any of them. This is strictly only for 5 HP 19s. But again, people just buy it because it says ATF and they get ZF Lifeguard, the same one with ATF free, and just throw it in their ZF transmission. You cannot use it in the 6-speed one. This is specifically for the 5 HP 19. This is purposely made for 5-speed automatic transmissions. Not 6-speed, not 8-speed. Do not be using that. And do not be using that in your GM transmission either, thinking it's going to help cool it and it's going to help stop your problems, because there's a lot of people get problems on the GM transmissions, either clutch slipping, torque converter going out, clumping, banging, and they think by using a thicker fluid, it's going to stop the problem. No, if you've got that problem, your gearbox needs to come out and you need to rectify the problem properly. By putting in a different fluid is not going to help solve the issue. All you're doing is delaying the problem and trying to cover up a problem that's already existent, and you're not going to get rid of it. Trust me, don't use that fluid in a ZF 6 HP 19. Now, if you can see there, this is the correct fluid for a ZF 6 HP 19 gearbox. This is the one you're meant to use in a 6 HP 19 and the 8 speeds going forward. This is the one actually used in the 8-speed transmission on the 330D, and the transmission drove beautifully after. Like there was nothing wrong at all. Why? Because I used the right fluid. Do not be using this in your 5 HP 19s or your GM transmissions, as I said. Okay? All these BMWs, all these gearboxes have a different fluid, and I'm showing you every single fluid. I am one of them that has every single fluid on the shelf because of the amount I do with these cars, and BMW specifically. I've got manual transmission fluid for manuals. I've got ZF transmission fluid for ZF 6 HP 19s, 8 speeds, GM transmissions, 5 HP 19s. I've got the fluid for them all because I always keep them on the shelf in case I get a car that I need to do. Okay, I've got pans galore, whatever I need. But this is the correct one for the 6 HP 19. Do not use anything else. If you use anything else, you will grenade your transmission. Take my word on that. Don't think I'm messing about. Don't think I'm making you buy the most expensive thing. As I said, when you go into a garage, just make sure to buy your own service kit and take it to them. If you don't trust the mechanic, make sure he knows what he's talking about. Ask him, have you ever serviced one of these before? Okay, can you explain to me how you're going to do it? Make sure you ask them questions, because if you get any kind of sense that they don't know what they're talking about and you think they're going to mess your transmission up, go somewhere else. Do not take the risk just because they're doing it cheap, because cheap is not always good. Okay? Trust me what I'm telling you. buy the service kit. Do not rely on garages or anybody for that matter to give you the correct oil, give you the correct even filter, because you've got to remember the filter is built into the pan. If they give you the wrong filter, that will be catastrophic as well. Believe me on that. And you don't want that happening to you either. So I'm telling you right now, make sure to use the right fluid. Here is all the fluids right here. As you can see, GM, 6HP19, 5HP19. It really isn't difficult. And do not be using any of these fluids in a manual transmission either. There is an LLT04 for the manual transmission. Do not touch any of these for manual transmission, okay? Because I know people seem to think they can go and put that in a manual transmission next, and you cannot. And whatever you do, like I said, do not be using this oil, which is also classed as gear oil, okay? It's not gear oil. They mean the gears inside the diff, not the gears in the gearbox, okay? So don't get that mixed up. Don't let a garage believe they've put gear oil in your gearbox. Because I know there's many people who seem to think, okay, they've refreshed my gearbox. No, they haven't refreshed your gearbox. What they've done is put basically a hand grenade in your gearbox. But there you have it, guys. Get the oil right the first time. If not, buy it yourself and do it yourself. Safest thing I can tell you, do not trust garages. So guys, there you have it. Now I've told you what transmission fluid you actually need for your BMW's gearbox. As I said to you, do not be fooled by garages thinking they've serviced it and used the right oil. As I said to you, if you think that your garage is going to make a mistake, order the stuff online and take it to your garage with you. Do not let them order it. And it's not the garage's fault. You've got to understand that. I blame the companies they use to send it to them, because the companies have no clue. They don't stock the BMW stuff on the shelf. They don't want that garage to stop using them, thinking they can't have this, they don't have that. So they'll send them whatever's there. And sometimes the mechanics, they just work on other brands that they're not sure what oil fluid these transmissions take, and they just bung it in. They don't care. These garages are getting paid regardless. You go away, a few days later, your gearbox goes bang, then you're questioning why. And then the garage takes no responsibility because they say, well, we told you so. We told you that we didn't want to touch it. We told you that would happen. Then they start blaming it on the mileage and that you shouldn't have serviced it and this and that. They give you every other excuse to try and get out of paying for it. Trust me, guys, it happens. I'm telling you right now, working in garages, I know people in garages, I know people that go to garages still to this day, and they will tell you straight away, they will take no responsibility. They don't mind servicing it, but they won't take responsibility if it goes bang up thereafter, and they'll make you sign a waiver as well. Do not be fooled by it. Like I said, guys, just get yourself the right transmission fluid. I've shown you every single one for GM, ZF, whatever one you need is right there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.